And with the Flightdeck Live, powered by SportBuff, if you go to sportbuffshop.com, use the code Alice. Check out, you will save 10% off your first order. I'm Tim Capper, along with Cliffy Pine from Commonwealth Stadium, as the Alouettes lose in overtime to the Edmonton Elks by the score of 32-29 in a rain-drenched, I don't think I've ever been this wet before, in a rain-drenched game where really in the second half, I think the second half itself, where the rain was steady throughout the entire game, especially if you did watch it on TV today. But other than that, are you drying out, Cliff?
Slowly but surely. And yeah, that's definitely one of the most rain-soaked games that I've certainly been a part of. Reminded me of my first and only trip to Taylor Field in Regina. It was a rain-soaked game where Vernon Adams made his Alouettes debut as starting quarterback, and the Alouettes won that game. So I guess, unfortunately, me being in attendance plus rain isn't necessarily good karma for the Alouettes today, unfortunately, as they lose to the Edmonton Elks. Yeah,
it broke Davis Alexander's streak of 13 straight wins in the regular season. Davis, as we said before, has thought that the streak was over anyways because he lost in the Grey Cup. Mm-hmm. We can't say we're still trying to get confirmation, but with 5 field goals today, clipped by Jose Maltes Diaz, El Hombre, he may have actually broken the Alouettes record for most consecutive field goals in a row, originally held by Shaun White.
Absolutely. And yeah, this was a game that Jose Maltes Diaz definitely did what was expected. And it's interesting to note because, let's not forget, Lewis Ward was added to the practice roster because there was some concerns about Jose Maltes Diaz's groin. But if you're able to kick 5 field goals, I think your groin's doing pretty okay.
In the rain.
In the rain, no less.
In the rain, no less.
So El Hombre does it again. He certainly did his part for the Alouettes, getting them to overtime, but it was just not meant to be.
There were a lot of things in this game itself. Obviously, we're coming in. The Owls defense is still hurt drastically. I mean, they really are. And also today, also us finding out before the game started that Jarvis Stearns, a great wide receiver, especially what he did last week, is now on the 6th game with potentially, again, it's a hand. I'm calling it a broken hand, but I will say they do say it's officially a hand. Mm. It's just a matter of the Owls. I don't want to say necessarily can't buy breaks, but it just seems to be no matter who goes down recently, Cliff, the team's been able to perform quite well. And still some issues, I think, with tackling today. People say, oh, well, it was raining. It was slick. It wasn't as bad as it was the last 2 weeks.
No, I feel like there's been some improvements in that area, but at the same time, you can't overlook the fact that a couple of these tackles, especially on what looked like it was going to be the game-winning touchdown by Justin Rankin.
Yeah.
3rd and 2. He was actually backed up. I thought he actually was going to get stopped right there and then. Now that would have been a turnover on downs for the Elks, but no. He kept on going, and unfortunately, a couple guys tried to tackle, and they're just out of reach and scrambles all the way into the end zone. I mean, at that point, what are you going to do at that point? It's just unfortunate for the Alouettes. I mean, that was a 3rd down they had to have. That was a tackle they had to have, and it's just kind of like this game overall is just they did great, but came up short.
Yeah, and the Alouettes themselves, they were leading at halftime, 13-7. With all honesty, it should have been 13-0, but I mean, the Elks just went on a run that they had to. I mean, the Alouettes really did, I can't really say dominate the first half, Cliff, but it's very interesting, especially what happened in the second, because right out of the gate, Edmonton back-to-back touchdowns to go ahead in this game, really controlled the third quarter quite a bit, but then we get into the fourth. The Alouettes really took to task what basically gave the Elks back what they gave to us in the third quarter.
Yeah, it was definitely back and forth. I mean, this was a game that either team could have walked away with, but in the end, it's just whoever had the ball last was going to win, and ultimately, that's truly how this game ended. Was the last person who had the ball won the game, and in this case, this was. Guest of the show this week, Cody Fajardo.
Yeah, a great recovery by the Alouettes too. I mean, the last 2 drives that they had to get the touchdown. Okay, what is this by touchdowns by Alouette wide receivers? The one by Snead was absolutely stupid. We still don't know how he caught that, even from where we were sitting here in the stadium.
Absolutely. I mean, for the 3rd week in a row, an absolutely ridiculous catch. This time, not by Tyson Philpott, but by Tyler Snead. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, look, say what you will about Davis Alexander, say what you will about this receiving core. They certainly did their part. They did everything they possibly could in order for the Alouettes to win this game. It was just little things here and there that, and again, this game truly could have gone either way. Today just happened to go the way of the green and gold.
It did. And as I said, there are a couple of things we're still trying to get. So there was this one particular drive, I think it was in the fourth quarter, where Davis Alexander was hot. I mean, hot. And we still don't know what the issue was. Now, at the time, whatever the play may have been, Owls couldn't have challenged because they didn't have any timeouts.
They were out of timeouts.
Both the timeouts, by the way, I don't want to say wasted, but they were called for when the play clock was running out.
Exactly. I think it was just a matter of not having your personnel in check, and rather than take a delay of game penalty, you call the timeout. And depending, I would say at least one of those you definitely wouldn't want to take the delay of game, so you're better to take the timeout. But at the same time, you only get two of them, so I mean, you really got to use them wisely.
Yeah.
And not having one in your back pocket in order to challenge. I think definitely that the player in question that you were talking about, maybe that's something they could have challenged upon, but with no timeouts, you can't challenge.
I think it's probably the most I've seen heated I've seen DA in a while. I mean, we'll see if we can get some idea of it. We'll have to obviously go back and watch the game since we were here, see if we can get some more context to it. But again, yes, the Alouettes do lose in overtime to the Elks. 2-1 on the season. It's going to be a very interesting East, obviously. But
how about the fact that this is the second overtime game that the Alouettes have played in 2026?
I know.
On the road, no less.
That's true, too. Actually, we can go to just as far to say this is the second rain game that the Elks have played this year.
It is. And again, they seem to play really well in the rain. Montreal seems to do really well in overtime, just not today. But
it almost did end, though, for the Alouettes, for the Owls in overtime. Almost the exact same way. Well, similar to almost the same way that it happened in the opener in Hamilton.
That's true. Justin Rankin did fumble the ball. And slick as hell that ball must have been, because everybody was trying to grab a hold of it or touch it or do something. And again, if you bat the ball out of bounds, you have possession of it. I am convinced, again, I will have to take a look at the tape again. I am convinced that a Montreal player had actually touched it out of bounds, to the point where Jason Moss had actually thrown his one challenge flag that he's allowed to in overtime, right, to challenge it. As it were, I guess it was too close to call. So in an instance like that, the call on the field stands.
There wasn't enough to overturn it. I mean, the Alouettes did get their calls too. I think there was a couple. It was one of the plays. I think it was just before. Yeah, it was just before the Alouettes kicked the tying field goal to go into overtime, where it was a questionable call on an actual reception here on the sideline. That got the Owls within another first down rather than a third down.
Yeah, that one was a little weird to me because I didn't see absolutely any problem with Tyson Philpott's catch. He was in bounds. I think it was a little toe drag swag maybe, and maybe that was where there was a little bit of confusion. But listen, at the end of the day, the replay center saw it. They took it for what it was. They overturned it, which they have the absolute right to do.
Yeah.
So that's why I was, with that in mind, like, would you have not taken the extra second or two to take a look at that fumble in overtime to see who truly had possession when it was all said and done?
But they did.
Well, they did. Yeah, you're right. They did.
And it was by replay. Automatic by replay. I think they need. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if they asked for help, because there was, it wasn't a turnover. I guess the way we don't know why, when, or why. Sometimes at the command center or replay center chimes in now. So
that's it. It's completely at their discretion. And again, in an overtime game, you expect them to double check and make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be. That way, there's absolutely no doubt, especially with the fact that there's no ties anymore. It's conclusive. Like, sometimes that decision could be the true difference between a win and a loss.
Yeah, that's true. Let's talk about some of the stats here. Davis Alexander was 29 of 44 for 356 yards and a touchdown. Only one touchdown. By the way, no interceptions. No interceptions. It's consistent DA. But yeah, another game over 300.
Listen, we keep talking about how great Davis Alexander is. You get to see it each and every week. I mean, yeah, until now, all he does is win. But I don't know. Should there be an asterisk for overtime? Probably not. But listen, at the end of the day, you know what kind of quarterback Davis Alexander is. You know what he's able to bring. He does everything possible to win. And you know what? I think in a way, this may end up being the best thing that happens for him, because now he doesn't have that hanging overhead, that asterisk, that sort of, kind of sort of stat about him. Like now it's just like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I lost the game. Okay, can we move on? It's on to next week now. Like and I'm pretty sure that's his mindset. He's like, okay, it's over. It's done with. What's next?
Yeah. Travis Tice, who stepped in for Stevie Scott again this week, had a great game. 19 attempts for 91 yards and a touchdown, just shy of 100. Second, by the way, DA, 2 rushes for 20, but that was early in the third. That was early in the first half.
Yeah. And it's funny. We expected the ground game to really be a factor today, and it was for both teams because of the rain. I mean, it was
crazy.
It just didn't stop. I mean, it wasn't just like there's times where it let up just a little bit, but in the fourth quarter, I would say it was just coming down in sheets practically. It was crazy.
That was a giant sponge.
Yeah, that's it. We are definitely going to have to wring out all of our clothes back at the hotel. That's just, it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, as the great, Andre 3000 said, you can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather.
I love how you come up with those.
You know you love it.
I know I do. Tyson Philpott led the team on 8 receptions for 120 yards. And next went to Tyler, the need for Sneed, 5 receptions, 80 yards, and that bonkers touchdown in the fourth quarter. From there, newly added Ferdinand.
Kasim
Ferdinand had 55 yards. Alexander Hollis had 54. Travis Tice had 47.
So listen, offense was definitely not the problem today. I can't even say truthfully that defense was the problem, other than like the missed tackles and certain miscues that happened. But again, look who you were up against. You were up against a quarterback that was motivated. You were up against Austin Mack, who was definitely motivated to take on his former team, who basically cast him aside. Listen, Justin Rankin, of course, wants to prove that he is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, one of the elite running backs in this league. And I think today definitely helped add to his case. So, yeah, I mean, this was a game that both teams had to have. And like I said, there's no more ties. So someone has to win and someone has to lose.
Yeah. By the way, we were talking about crazy plays that happened today, Cliff. We got to talk about that wackadoodle interception by Nate Beauchemin.
Yeah. Just like they drew it up, right? It's absolutely incredible. I mean, and it's kind of funny. Like we were sitting in the stands today, and Nate Beauchemin's father and brother were sitting just in front of us. Yeah. So that they were hyped. They were excited about this. I mean, making the trip all the way from Kelowna to come and watch their boy play. Like that was, and for them to see that live in person. It
was just crazy. The people, again, who saw it on TV, it was obvious that the Elks receiver got knocked down. And I don't know if it was, would it bounce off of the Elks receiver and then into their hands, into his hands, if I'm not mistaken, or is it?
Once again, I'd have to see it.
Yeah, it was whack. I mean, it was knocked down, obviously, but yeah, we'll have to see it. But still, it was obvious that ball did not touch the ground. I mean, that overall, that's basically what it was. It did not touch the ground.
Yeah, and then again, I'm sure a lot of the fans that were here today, cheering for the Elks, couldn't believe it, didn't want to accept it even. But listen, that's just the way it works out sometimes. I mean, especially in weather like this, literally anything can happen. I think in a lot of cases it did today.
Yeah, only sack today was by Wes Sutton. It was, again, I'm very surprised considering the way the weather was. There weren't more sacks, but then again, both of the O-lines did quite a good job in keeping these guys upright. But, to be fair, the Elks O-line did a little bit better, obviously, when it came to Justin Rankin. He ran all over the Alouettes today. He really did. And we have to spotlight him, obviously. I mean, 18 attempts, Cliff, for 179 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I mean, just like he did against Ottawa 2 weeks ago. I mean, that was or last week, sorry. But what can you do? I mean,
can we get him stop running in the rain? Maybe because both rain games for him, and he's gone off.
So you can't use the excuse of bad weather. I mean, no matter what, your job is to stop someone like that, and easier said than done. Because I mean, he truly has. He's shown time and again that he is definitely an outstanding football player. Definitely someone that you have to game plan around, essentially. If you're playing the Edmonton Elks, you have to game plan, not just for Cody Fajardo, not just for the receivers, but definitely 100% you have to game plan for Justin Rankin.
Yeah, you do. By the way, if you miss any part of the broadcast, you can go watch the archive over on X, Facebook, or on YouTube, and it will be available on audio over at www.alouettesflightdeck.ca. interesting stats, by the way. And I don't know if it really felt this way, Cliff, maybe just because the Owls really dominated the fourth quarter. But if you look at the time of possession today, the Owls held a 10-minute advantage over the Elks.
Which is all well and good, but at the same time, if you're not putting points on the board, if you're not making plays happen, if you're, again, yes, you're keeping Cody Fajardo and company off the field, but at the same time, you still have to make something happen with it. And there were a lot of times where they came close, but just either if you're lucky, you get away with a field goal, or you end up punting back to them. But unfortunately, that is sometimes the way the cookie crumbles. I mean, there's not much you can do about it. You can't be mad at the result. It's no matter what, the fact that the Alouettes were able to get this game into overtime after being down 10 in the fourth quarter.
Exactly.
Shows the resilience. Shows that this team was not willing to quit. This team was willing to do everything they can. They were going for the win. They were going to do whatever it takes to get the win. It was kind of interesting, though, they started with the ball. But, okay, let's, all the could manage was a field goal. Sometimes that was enough. I mean, it was enough to beat Hamilton 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you had to stop Cody Fajardo and company. And the fact that Cody Fajardo scored the game-winning touchdown, a little poetic in a way. So you almost can't be mad at it. I mean, especially the fact playing his former team. And we had a great chat with him this week. And by the way, folks, if you haven't already, head on over to our YouTube channel. Make sure you check out that interview with Cody Fajardo. Absolutely incredible. So I wonder if maybe he was inspiring us to, maybe we inspired him to have such a great game today.
I don't know. Well, also Mac too. Mac had a very good game too in his first ever game up against them. By the way, this is one of the stats we've been looking at too. Is that second downs, Owls converted 53.8%. That's one of their highest of the year so far. They only held Edmonton to 36.8. Really didn't matter though because of the big plays that they had and obviously the untimely turnovers that the Alouettes had in this game.
Yeah, and the turnovers are going to kill any team, no matter what. And again, you cannot blame the rain. You cannot blame that. It comes down to execution. If you execute, you'll be fine. But if you don't execute, then other teams are going to definitely take advantage of it. So
yeah, exactly. And I'm still, to me, I mean, look at the scores, only 3 points. But to me, I still think that there were two questionable calls in itself. I think the Owls going forward on third and short when I think they should have gone for the field goal in the first half. Sometimes they say 3 points makes the biggest difference. And then the fumble on the punt return that gave the Elks another 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely. Just lots of little things. And the nice thing about this is it's early in the season. It's only week 3 when you think about it. So the Alouettes go 17-1 kind of thing. Yeah, there's no shame in that either.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you don't go 16-2, that's the key, folks. You do not want to go 16-2.
There you go. I know. That's the thing. So, stay tuned for the show this week. We'll be seeing it on Wednesday. Stay tuned for it. Should be a pretty cool show, I think, nonetheless. But other than that, again, it's the Owls do lose in overtime to the Edmonton Elks by the score of 32-29. Overall, again, despite the rain, it was a very, very it was a great game to watch, whether it be on TV or whether it be in person.
Absolutely. It's just listen. If you're an Elks fan, you're thrilled right now. But and listen, they are a fantastic team. I think they made a lot of moves in the offseason, in free agency. They had to get off the schneid. They had to shake off this loser mentality that they seem to have hanging over them over the past couple of years. And I think with Cody Fajardo at the helm, with Austin Mack, Keon Julian Grant, Justin Rankin, obviously, this defense too, they've made a lot of changes there. There's a lot of wholesale changes for the better, and you're starting to see that right now. They are still undefeated in 2026. It's early, but they are still undefeated. So
something that they had not done since 2019. So I mean, it's
that in itself is incredible. So you got to give them props for that. Montreal, now they just have to regroup and get ready for a game against the Ottawa Red Blacks next Sunday. Yeah,
the first Sunday night of the year on the CFL schedule. Bringing back Sunday night games for the. It's been a while since Sunday night games was Saturday night games last year. But either way, that's for next week. We do hope you do join us for the show this week, and we do hope you enjoyed the show from here.
Yeah, definitely.
From Commonwealth Stadium.
Absolutely, and make sure, ladies and gentlemen, like, subscribe. Make sure you're following on all of our social networks. Make sure you're following. If you're on YouTube, as I said, show us the love, please. Subscribe if you haven't already. And again, I cannot overstate this. Go check out the uncensored, full-length Cody Fajardo interview. It was an absolute blast talking with him for our Outside the Nest series. And stay tuned because we got more of that coming with other players, other alumni. We've got a whole lot being planned right now for the Alouettes Flight Deck. You want to make sure you're on board. So like, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff.
Exactly. So for the final time here at Commonwealth Stadium, where the Owls do lose in overtime to the Elks, for Cliffy T, I'm Tim Capper. We'll talk to you soon. Joy.